Afternoon, everyone. So right now we're gonna have a talk about Plone's API first CMS story by Víctor Fernández de Alba.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So right now we can start the talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome to my talk. It's called Plone's API First CMS Story. This term API First, we came with this term. After what? After a lot of thought, we in the community the last years we thought that the headless term was a little bit not completely suitable, although the IT industry have used this term to designate things that have no front end by default, meaning that have no face or head, right? And the industry applied historically this to a range of products like CMSs, or later also to design systems, or even UI libraries, right? There are headless UI libraries now. So we thought that we needed to find an alternative to feel a little bit more comfortable. Although you go out there and everybody, you will see the headless term everywhere. So we are recoining this into API first. So let's see how it goes. Yeah, every time that you go to an API first CMS out there, there are a lot of them lately. They are very trendy. For giving some examples, Sanity, I don't know if you know it, Directus or Payload CMS are some of the names that are heard lately in there. If you go to their page, their feature offering is more or like this. So you go to the menu, and then they have tools for the admin UI where you can explore, manage, work on the data design on your site, meaning the content types or the models of your pages. Then there is always some sort of media administrator when you can save images, videos, then the meaning also to retrieve them, which is also nice. So you have, for example, encoding and decoding of videos. Then there is always a part, there is a CMS UI, which they normally provide already some kind of editor of some sort. You can always bring yours because of course, these guys always have an API as a service, so that you can use not only for creating and adding your or modifying your content, but also for retrieving it. And for that purpose, they provide libraries in a variety of languages, right? Because bringing your own UI could involve a lot of languages, and these libraries could be clients, components as well, meanings of pluggability, and normally typings nowadays in the TypeScript, JavaScript world. And then some other guides for integrations, like how you integrate this in React or Angular or Svelte or Solid, whatever. And this is normally what you can find as feature offering of a API first / headless CMS. So yeah, and the main selling point is that you bring your own UI. So they provide all these services normally as SaaS services, and then you bring your own UI, whatever it is. So it can be a React framework, or I don't know, Svelte, Astro, whatever you can imagine, you can use it, because normally they provide clients and libraries for it. And you know that I'm already pushing here. Yeah. So one of your UIs could be Classic UI or Volto UI, right? But let's talk about this a little bit later. So Plone CMS, how it is today, 2024. We have what I like to call monoliths. We have the Classic UI monolith and the Volto UI monolith. And why I like to call them monolith, because they hold the public UI, the CMS UI, the admin UI, and whatever you customize on the top, meaning theming or content types or whatever, right? And then in this layer on the bottom, you have Plone itself, the backend, used via the REST API, right? Then let's look a little bit more closer to the monoliths, right? So we always been able to build projects with the two monoliths, right? And that's no surprise. We built projects in Classic, and we built projects in Volto. But every time that you build a project in those, you are forced to use the tools and the libraries and the decisions in those monoliths, right? And you are forced to use it in full, right? So you make a project, let's say in Volto, and you should put the whole Volto in place, right? You don't know, no, I only want this small feature of Volto. Or no, I only want to render the content. No, you have to bring it all, both in Classic and in Volto UI. You cannot, for example, in Volto use your own data acquiring easily. You can, but Volto has its own layer of data acquiring, right? So the most normal thing that you will do is to abide with the decisions made in there, and you will use the Redux based middleware that makes requests for you, and then it saves these requests into the request store, and then you will use it afterwards, right? So get this idea. So having this in mind, it came to me as a kind of a pet project at the beginning, right? And I wanted to know, I asked to myself, so which of the Plone features, the core Volto features, were made Volto, right? Why? Because what if we could extract those features and use those features as a standalone features, right? And I identify this slide that you might recall from other talks, because I've been developing this idea the last 2 years, and in fact this talk is an update of all these ideas and all these developments that happened the last 2 years. So the first one is the add-on architecture. We have a very powerful extensibility story in Plone and in Volto, because in Volto we wanted to have also the same extensibility story that we had in the backend, right? And we kind of made them both match. So we have add-ons in the backend and add-ons in the frontend. Then we have the configuration registry. The configuration registry in Volto is that place that holds the whole configuration that you are going to need in Volto in order to query Plone correctly and render the content, and later on edit the content, right? Is also where all the customizations, all the extensible things that you're going to load from your add-ons is going to be saved. So this configuration that your add-ons is providing, it's going to be saved in the configuration registry. Then we have the component shadowing, which is this other extensibility ability that we have in Volto, where we can effectively replace one module in build time with another module. So let's say that we have a module in Volto or in another add-on, and in your project you want a slightly change in this component. You want to have a different structure, or that it behaves differently or whatever, then you have the ability to surgically go and say, no, this component instead of this one is going to be this one. And this is also something that we would like to have everywhere, right? Because it's a great feature. Then we have basic and structural CMS components like the breadcrumbs or the navigation. Then the theming itself, because we want to theme sites still in places. We have data fetching, which is the ability of retrieve data from other servers or backend servers. We have the routing, the server-side rendering, which provides us the meanings for crawlers and other things like social media, how it's called, social media I don't remember now. When you go to Twitter and you put a Twitter embed, and then you get the social media previews, right? Yes. Okay. Then we also have the seamless CMS mode and the internal proxy, and lately the block editor. So these are the features that I identified back in the day. And what we did the last year. So once we identified those features, I start asking myself if we could extract those features from Volto so we can use them separately. And that's why the Plone front-end packages got born. First of all, we have the data fetching, and it became at Plone client. We will see it later. Then we have the add-on registry, the configuration registry, the component utilities and slots, and the component shadowing, and this is the registry. Then we have also the components, which also hold the basic and structural CMS components, and also a little bit of theming. Let me explain them all one by one a little bit. So first of all, we have data fetching. This is important. As you could see at the beginning, in the first slides, this is something that all headless API first CMS provides. So a meaning of access your data from the outside, in this case, from JavaScript, right? And Plone client does this. This was a GSOC that was implemented last summer, no, 2 summers ago, by Iman Chaudhry, and it is released. It's still in alpha stage because we need more feedback and more battle testing. It's based in TanStack Query, although it can also work without it. TanStack Query is a library of data fetching that nowadays is kind of the golden library for doing that. And it's agnostic, so it's not only React-based, it also can work elsewhere, because TanStack Query can work also, I think, in Solid and in Svelte. In fact, Eribriol has a demo of it working in Svelte. And this is also very important because we want a package that is able to retrieve data from Plone in any JavaScript frameworks. And this is why we wanted to for Plone client to be like this. And finally is built-in TypeScript, which is also a nice thing to have. And it's in the documentation of Plone client. It's in here. You can take a look. We designed Plone client to have the same structure as Plone REST API. So you will find a client function, a client method for every endpoint, right? And it's mapped one-to-one. And this is what you will see in the documentation. So you have one method for getting the content, another for updating it, and so on. Then we have, the most underrated piece of software that the Plone community ever produced, is how I like it to call, because we created Plone registry. Plone registry is being used already by Volto 18 as a standalone package. Now we are in the 3.x version. And what this package do? This package, as you could see in one of the previous slides, is the one that have the configuration singleton for starters, right? And then is where we have the add-ons infrastructure. So it has the logic that loads add-ons into Volto, right? But we made this work outside of Volto, meaning that we can go to any framework out there, not only React, I mean in JavaScript, right? And use Plone registry to load add-ons into that framework, the same way that we do it in Volto. Right, and this is what the add-ons infrastructure of Plone registry does, the add-ons registry. Imagine this. So picture this for those that are Plone developers since long ago. Imagine that some years ago, we will be able to load Plone add-ons outside Plone, let's say, in Django, if that will be a thing, or that will be possible. Or, I don't know, Walktail right now also. Imagine loading Plone add-ons into Walktail right away and using them without being able to do anything, right? So just to put it in to do a comparison side to side, right? So yes, we can build multi-framework add-ons that work in Volto and that work in Next.js and that works in React Router 7 or in Remix, right? And I think that this is huge and that we should also do it more. Advertise it more, right? And yeah, we have a documentation for it. This is only a couple of weeks old in there, and yeah, we try to document it properly so everybody can go and use it. Yeah, go and take a look. Then we have Plone components. So the next thing was the components themselves, and I'm talking now more restricted, not in that agnostic way, but in React components, right? So we created this package. We had in mind that we wanted a set of components that were, first of all, very accessible, that excelled in accessibility, and then that they were semantic free, the semantic UI free. I mean, that was a must. Those who went to my previous talk, you know about that. So we had to find a suitable library to base those components on. I mean, we could have started from scratch, but let's not go into that pitfall again, right? And there is a library out there that is called React Area Components. In itself is based on React Area. It's owned, so it's backed by Adobe, and Adobe puts a lot of money with a big team working only on this nowadays. And it's kind of also a gold standard in accessibility in the React world. And yeah, and we built a small set of components, basic components like button inputs, text areas, selects that are fully accessible, are powered by React Area Components, and they can be used today, which is the most important thing, even in Volto, because that's the idea, right? It's released. Current version is the 2.x series. Take a look at them. You can take a look at the story book that you have the link in here. We have a storybook showcasing all the components. Yeah, take a look at them. Then we have Plone theming. This is also a package that is very young. It only has some weeks. I don't know if even a month. It's a POC. It's in its early stages. It's a very thin layer of simple vanilla CSS. It doesn't even have a precompiler on it, on purpose, and it means to be reusable, expandable if you want, so you can bring your own. So it's very, very, very thin, right? Why? Because we think that the next way of doing theming, both in Volto and in the API first story, is that not making yet another Pastanaga UI on it, right? We don't need a full-fledged theme, because what are you doing normally when you do a project? Overwrite everything, right? Why? I mean, why we've been doing this on and on and on and on? No. I mean, I think it's the moment to say, okay, our vanilla CSS will be so thin that that it will be foundational, right? I mean, it will be the thin layer below your theme where you can build your own thing upon. And if you want it, you can remove it and then use your own. Why not, right? These basic thin layer will be also based on the foundations where the kit concept Volto light theme is on, meaning that it's not going to be the light theme again. It's going to be only the foundational part, so we can build other things upon. Okay. Then we have slots. This is also very young, and it's in POC. It's early stages still. And we had this idea, and one day I was talking to Pierre about that when I had this idea. I mean, I am so crazy about this. Do you think that it's feasible? What if, so raise your hand. You know what are slots in Volto? Who knows? Fine. If you don't know yet, I mean, and you are a Plone, you come for the, of doing classic. You remember viewlets? Plone viewlets. Yes, a viewlet or a slot nowadays is a piece of HTML that you can put in a designated slot through your page. And this is how viewlets work. Now we got that idea, that artifact, and make it work in Volto. We didn't call it viewlets because, yeah, then we would know which one we were referring. We call them slots. So with at Plone slots, I can define flexible, slots through all my layout and then fill them out. For example, I have below my title, and I want to put a component, a piece of HTML. So I can do that. I register that as a slot, and then I fill it. So okay, I will have this above title slot, and then I will fill it with whatever I want, with one component, with two, with three, with four, with whatever I want, and then this will be injected in the place in the slot that I defined. And this idea of making all main layout elements as slots came to the realization that back in the day, we had everything also declared as viewlets, the header, the footer, the content area. And I went even beyond. And what if the whole shell of my website is a slot on itself? Because if I do that, I will declare other slots inside, but I can add things below and above easily of my shell. So the full application shell will be a slot. Then inside, the header should also be a slot, right? And I will fill it with other slots, like the first one will be the logo, the next the navigation, the next the search tools, right? And so on, so on. Next, the content area, also a slot that has an above content area and below content area and the area of the content itself. And lastly, my footer, which nowadays we used to have pre-footers, post-footers, and footer itself. So I can also inject things in there, right? So we tried it out one weekend. I sent to Piero, this is working, try it out. He tried out right away in its POC with Next.JS. And it worked so well that I say, okay, let's leave it as it is. And I think that it works. And for now, it's like this. And it's, very useful. Puntualization. Plone slots, the meaning of adding slots, it's in Plone registry. So you can add slots outside Plone and Volto. Imagine you have your own application in Next.js and you want to add a slot. You can, because the slots are registered in the registry. You don't even have to use Volto, right? It's an artifact of Plone registry. Then, yeah, it's like that. Then, these packages, I will summarize them. We also categorize them in three main categories. Let's call it levels. I don't know, this can change, but yeah. So level 1 packages are the core packages. It means that they are the foundational, they are the most important packages in the whole story, which are the registry, the client, and the components. The three of them they have to be compiled. They are compiled. Why? Because I don't know where I will put them. Where I mean transpile, sorry. So I can put them anywhere. So I will transpile them to ES5, and it's there. You can use them. They are also transpiled to ESM. So if you, in case that you are already full ESM compliant in your applications, they also transpile into ESM. Fine. These packages have conditions. They must not depend on any other @Plone wildcard packages. Why? Because they are the core. I want them to use them separately. So I want to use the registry as a standalone in an Svelte application without having to pull anything else, right? I mean, imagine the first thing when we start slicing the features that we want in Volto, the main idea was that I can use these features as a standalone somewhere else. I don't want to build a thing that is interrelated in everything, and I don't want to pull a whole Volto somewhere else. No, I want only to pull the things that I need. So that's very important. The core packages have to be independent of each other. There is only one exception, which is Plone types. Plone types is, we are transitioning, we are using TypeScript also in core nowadays. And Plone types is the package that holds all the types that we're using in Volto. So if we, in Volto and in Plone. And we are still developing this package. We have a first version, a 1.0.0 version. And you can use TypeScript everywhere, and you can find the types in here. And this is the only package that the others can depend. But that's it. And it's also a core package, of course. Then we have a level 2 that I call also utilities. These packages also have conditions, so we also maintain them under control. So utility packages can depend on core packages and other utility packages, and that's it. They will be transpiled as well, and they are normally libraries that we will use in this case in the React world with the providers, or it will be helpers. Imagine we have a huge amount of helpers in Volto. The vast majority of them can be extracted, and you can use them elsewhere, right? Flatten to app URL, for example, very famous one. Then I can imagine other utility libraries, right? Like one that could be a drivers. These are not existing yet. The two above, yes. Plone providers exists and helpers as well. But the idea is that Plone components have components that are silly, that are dumb. These components are not meant to get any data or acquire any data, right? And for that, at some point, we will need a layer that makes this data acquiring somehow. So that's what I call a driver. So I have a component that is above my dump components that are going to pass down the data as props. The same happens with the RSCs in the Next.JS world. And hopefully, we will have React Server components also outside Next.js. So I can imagine that we could also have a package that has these React Server components that provide data to the dump components that are the presentational ones. Finally, we have the add-ons layer. So the level 3 will be add-ons as we know them now, right? So, and doesn't have to be Volto specific add-ons, right? But it will be add-ons and it will work the same as add-ons. So as they will be not transpiled. The way that we know now add-ons, which is source code that we even release or we use them in our projects, so that will be. So first of all, they won't be transpiled. And these add-ons will be free to use whatever other packages that we have because they are level 3. Yeah, we have right now Plone blocks. It's unreleased. It's still in POC, which we have an initial implementation of a few blocks, not few, meaning 4 or 5, right? We have Plone slots. I talked already about that. It's one of the add-ons components, add-ons packages. Then we have Plone theming, will be also an add-on. And then we have Plone contents also, that we have an initial implementation making the contents, the contents view available also as a standalone view. So we can bring Plone contents anywhere. Right? Okay, so which is right now the Plone offering late 2024? Because the whole purpose of this is to provide a better offering when it comes to build projects with Plone, right? So we have updating the first slide that I show you is we have classic UI monolith, the Volto UI monolith, and then bring your own UI monolith. I mean, I don't care which one, right? And then we have on the bottom to support this all the Plone @Plone wildcard packages. Yeah, the next step after this is the Plone editor, right? Can we extract the Plone editor from Volto? Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, like any other things, right? And I can imagine that we can have this such a package, Plone editor, where we can put it anywhere. It initially probably will be React. Probably most not probably. I mean, it will be React. It will be as pluggable as the others, so I can also bring add-ons to the editor, right? So I will have my add-ons in my bring my own UI story, and I will have my add-ons in my editor as well. So I can have the same set of add-ons without touching them in any way, working in both the public UI and the CMS UI, right? And not only add-ons, but also theming, because our themes are add-ons, like the Volto Live theme, right? So I will have my theme in my public UI and the theme in the editor UI. So we will have closed the circle, right? So using the add-ons first approach, we will be providing functionality and look and feel to both approaches, right? And this is the main idea under Plone editor. To support this, we have 4 proof of concepts right now that we will surely update them during the sprint, and Piero and I will be working on that most probably. One is the Next.JS one. Piero is the head of that. The Remix and the React Router 7. I don't know if you know about them, but lately Remix, React Router 7 is based in Remix, and now it's the next step. React Router 7 is the next step in the Remix story. They both work more or less the same right now, but we have them. And then we have also a demo with Tanstack Start, which it seems they are creating a lot of hype. I don't know if you know this guy, which is the guy behind the Tanstack, which is very prolific. He is the same guy that does Tanstack query, and he's building a framework on itself. And he also has VC money behind, blah, 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 blah. But we have also these POCs. Take a look at them. There are readmes on how to try them out if you're interested. In the repo, in the Volto repo, they are under the /apps directory. Then, yeah, we built several proof of concepts. I can show you one today. It's my site. If you want to take a look, I will make a demo now. This is my site. The Volto, it's Volto on the top, and down you have the URL of my site. So it's the same database, it's the same Plone site, but it's rendered using React Router 7. So let's take a quick look. By the way, these are the PloneRes API JavaScript client that I mentioned. Then we have the Plone registry and the Plone components one. Won't do. Let's try to do that quickly. I will never. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the URLs that I gave in my presentation. This is the JavaScript PloneRes API JavaScript client, then the configuration registry, the storybook of Plone components that you can also take a look and play with it. And quick, this is my site. This is a Volto site. It's a blog, right? Yeah, you can see the posts and everything, the photos. And this is my site in React Router 7. So again, it's accessing the same database via PloneRes API, both, because Volto is also doing the same. But this is not Volto. This is React Router 7, right? And if I click, I have the routing. And as you can see, there is the same experience. Yeah. As you could see, the styling is still not done because Plone theming was done 2 weeks ago, right? We have to build up more on it. Same for the blocks. The blocks implementation is very raw, very raw. They only show, right? Same for the photos and same for everything. This site, this React Router 7 site is using Plone registry, Plone client, Plone components, Plone blocks, Plone slots, Plone providers. Did I miss something? No, the theming, Plone theming. And with these 7 packages, I built this site. And this can be built in Next.js the same exact way, in Remix, in TimeStack Start, whatever. And that's the power of the Plone front-end packages. Then let's finish the presentation quickly. For this, we created a Vite plugin already that covers all the Vite powered frameworks, which are TimeStack Start, Remix, React Router 7, and Piero created one for Next.js, which works the way that plugins in Next.js works. Finishing quickly, plans for Plone 7. As I explained in my first talk 2 days ago, yes, probably 2026, 2027, we will have a Volto powered with all these packages alone, following the current roadmap that we have drawn. And that's it. Yeah, obrigado. Thanks a lot.
So thank you very much, Victor. Anyone have any questions about the talk? No? Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thanks again, Victor. And a round of applause for Victor, please.